Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. The first story of this episode, the OP out of the blue, got contacted by her fiancé's older sister, asking her to mediate and help them reconcile him with family. Now, OP knew a little about why her fiancé cut contact with his family, that she never even met them nor introduced to them because of what happened, and now she's asking advice on what to do, or should she even interfere? Now let's read the story. Original post: me, 28 female, and my fiancé, 34 male, have been together for 4 years now. He was in a previous marriage before we met that ended in divorce, because his ex-wife had a long-term affair. During their marriage, my fiancé was diagnosed with cancer and went through a very tough battle. During that time, his family found out that his wife was cheating on him through a third party, but they didn't tell him because he was very sick. They basically hid the truth from him and let his ex-wife be around him. My fiancé thankfully won his battle, and towards the middle of his recovery, his ex-wife came clean because she felt guilty. She told him that she wanted to come clean before, but his family convinced her to keep quiet for his sake. My fiancé felt betrayed by both his wife and family. When he got better, he divorced, and eventually moved away from the city that his ex-wife and his family lived in. He very rarely speaks to his family, maybe 2 to 3 times a year, and they tend to be very short and superficial conversations. His relationship with his family is very strained and practically non-existent. I've never met any of his family members for the entire time we've been together. They haven't come to visit, and he hasn't gone to visit them. Today, I received a message on Facebook from what seems to be his older sister. I have no idea how she found me, but she seems to know about my fiancé and I being engaged. Long message short, she asked if I could help reunite my fiancé and his family. She talked about them maybe flying to our city and asked if I could somehow get my fiancé to meet them. I haven't responded to her. I don't know if I should. She explained why they didn't tell him about his cheating wife. According to her, they didn't want to bring any more suffering and pain, which I somehow get. I'm not saying that I agree with what they did or would do something like that. But I also very much get and respect how my fiancé feels. Even before the whole cheating thing, my fiancé said he's had other problems with his family in the past. It seems he's always had a difficult relationship with his family. Basically, I wanted to ask, what do you guys think I need to do? Do I try to help them or do I just ignore his sister's message? I think that sometimes in life we might need others to encourage us into doing something we don't want to because it could ultimately benefit us further down the road. But at the same time, we shouldn't push or force people into doing just anything. Edit: I'm going to tell him about the message regardless. He's coming home later this evening and that's when I'll tell him. I just wanted to beforehand get advice on whether I should encourage him to reconsider the situation if he initially says he doesn't want to do it, or should I not say anything if he says no and drop it forever. Now for the top advice before reading the update. You talk to your fiancé first and let him decide what he wants to do with his family situation. Edit: responding to your edit, I would not try to encourage him to reconnect. His family is still going behind his back to manipulate him. This time they are using you. This is the right answer. My ex's family is super toxic and manipulative. I've never wanted them around my kids, but I had no say when they were with their dad. So over the years, they've had a half-dozen interactions, and all of them were memorable for the kids and not in a good way. Their dad hasn't been in their lives since my oldest was in late elementary school, so they weren't exposed to them after that, and the family didn't reach out. So for 6 years, the kids had no contact with them and they made no effort to contact the kids even though they were 10 minutes away from where we lived. When their grandfather died, their dad's side, the kids were left $100,000 each. And that's when the Facebook messages started, wanting to be in their lives, and talking about how family is so important. I told my kids that it was up to them what they wanted to do, but until they were 18, 15 and 17 at the time, I wouldn't allow them to give anyone money, including myself, because it was left to them for their future. Both of the kids said that they wouldn't forget how they were treated by them when they were younger, and they don't want anything to do with them. I told the ex-in-laws that the kids didn't want to see them. They started trying to get me to make the kids, then they tried to convince me that they were different now. I finally told them that I let the kids read every message they sent, and it was up to them what they wanted to do. They got angry that I let them read the messages. That's when my oldest laughed and said that she knew they were up to something, or else they wouldn't be mad. And she's right. My point to all of this is, manipulating you and trying to use your good relationship with your fiancé to get what they want is a sign that they haven't learned anything. They're still manipulative and don't even think they've done anything wrong. Tell your partner, heck, show him the message, and let him decide what to do. He's the one that knows them, knows the wrongs they have done, and knows if that's something he wants in his life. He is your partner, not them. He's the one who you share everything with, not them. So they can't get mad at you for letting him read the messages. And if they do, they were being underhanded and manipulative to your fiancé, again. Then you can see who they are too. Let him decide how to handle it. I haven't spoken to my mother in over 20 years, and I would be livid if my husband tried to convince me to reconsider that, and doubly so if I found out that the reason was because she wanted him to. Yes, I had to shut down a friend very firmly because she thought I should forgive my brother and reach out to him. He stole thousands from my kids and his own, cheated on his wife for years, and I don't want any contact with him. She says, but he's family. Not after what he did. No, he doesn't deserve a family if that's how he treats the most vulnerable family members. If it were me, I'd show him the message right away and ask him how he would like for you to respond. After all, it's his family. Plus, he is already upset about people keeping information from him, so don't keep this from him. Considering his past trauma, you probably want to err on the side of disclosure. Edit, I just have to add, his family ought to know better. Sneaking behind his back and lying is the exact thing he's mad about. And now they are doing it with you, trying to manipulate him through you. There's probably a good reason he's low contact with them. They have no problem just going behind his back. I will definitely show him the message and let him know when he gets home later. From what I could understand, it seems like his family want to sort of ambush him because they feel like he will shut down if he knows about it, which is a strong possibility. But I do not agree with ambushing people. Whatever I do, he will know. I guess I'm just unsure on whether I should encourage him to go through with it if he initially refuses, or whether I should just drop it. And now for the update. Thanks for all the advice. I really appreciate it. I showed my fiancé the message, which is something I always was going to do. He wasn't home when I received it and I was just waiting for him to get home. He read it, and we ended up having a long conversation after that. He told me more about his relationship with his family members. I already knew since a long time ago that his parents passed away when he was young, which made his upbringing hard. As an adult, he became the most accomplished member of his family, and kind of took care and helped his siblings. I knew that they took advantage of him numerous times, and he told me a few stories in the past, but he ended up telling me other ones that made me thankful we don't have to include them in our lives. My fiancé ended up responding to her from my account, and signed the message with his name. His sister replied with a very long message, followed by an audio recording accusing me of trying to keep him away from them, and calling me a selfish gold-digging witch. My fiancé and I listened to her audio together, and he wanted to respond to her, but I convinced him that it wasn't worth it, and that she probably wanted a reaction. I guess it's safe to say I'm never meeting his family, or at least his older sister. Anyway, thanks again for the help. Yeah, so if I was the sister, I'd definitely not call OP a selfish gold-digging witch. But she's probably projecting how they treated OP's husband. It definitely took me by surprise because I haven't even said a single word to her. The only message that was sent to her was my fiancé's, and he signed it off with his name. Yeah, she definitely doesn't see the error of her own ways, and thinks it's impossible to think that such a horrible idea as I'm the reason my own brother doesn't want to interact with his family, and will hold on to the idea that's it's who's in his ear. Disgusting behavior, and I hope you don't take anything to heart. Wishing you both the best. The silver lining is that it sounds like you two handled the situation in a way that brought you closer together. You both were able to share feelings, communicate, and get through a difficult time together. That bodes well for your marriage. Why even bother reaching out in the first place if you're just going to go on the offensive? I guess I'm just missing the point, because from his sister's reaction, she had no intention of ever fixing anything between her and her brother. Yes, she wasn't reaching out to apologize, make amends, and mend the relationship. She was reaching out to see if he was over it yet, and things could go back to normal. He's wealthy and had a battle with cancer, and she called the wife a gold digger. Sounds like projection to me, and the sister probably only wants his money. Last story. My 35 female parents, 74 male and 72 female, want me to financially support them, when they've only financially supported my brother 37 male. A little backstory that may help you understand the issue. My younger sister and I are on the spectrum and have a poor relationship with our parents, who always got really frustrated with us when we were little because of sensory issues. Even to the point of being cruel, like throwing us in ice-cold river water while we were screaming and begging them not to do it, just so we would get over it. There are still some hurt feelings on all sides about our childhood. My older brother, on the other hand, is not autistic, and has always had a much better relationship with our parents. They understand him. He is married with 2 young daughters and makes an average income. My sister and I are unmarried without kids, and I make an above-average income while she makes average. The issue itself. My parents are both in their 70s and didn't save for retirement. They have always made a lot of money, and I only had a basic understanding of their retirement plan over the years, which was basically to sell their homes and travel around in an RV. I was pretty sure they would have enough to retire, simply because their incomes are so high, but they have been pushing off their retirement for a long time. And now the homes have been sold, and my parents have realized that they do not have anywhere near enough money for the next 20+ years. They are pretty healthy, and have asked me and my sister to help financially support them since we are financially stable and don't have kids. They gave us each a number of what they need each month, and mine is much higher. It's an amount that would affect my own ability to invest for my future. But the main issue here is that, over the years they've given tens of thousands of dollars to my brother. They paid his rent in his 20s while I lived at home because I couldn't afford rent. They gave him a $60,000 down payment for his home, while I am 35 and still renting in a very expensive housing market. They paid off his student loans when he got married. They paid off his older daughter's medical bills from a difficult birth, and up until they retired, were even paying for their groceries online through Instacart. We've discussed this many times, and the reasoning for them not supporting me and my sister is because they said it would be good for us to be independent and learn not to rely on other people, and also because we are not married and don't have kids. And it's true that we are both really happy, functioning adults with good jobs that we love. But my 20s were very traumatic. Working such long hours while going to college and sharing a bedroom with my younger sister was absolutely exhausting. I would come home crying, and they would just roll their eyes and say, "It's just work, everyone has to do it." Except I guess my brother, because he never had a job while he was in college. So, I'm sure you can tell by now that I really resent this, and I told my parents that I would be comfortable supporting them, as long as my brother made some kind of an effort to pay back what he owed them. And using the word owed was bad, because they made it very clear that those were gifts that they were happy to give him, not loans, and they wouldn't accept being paid back even if he offered. Now they're very upset with me, and say I'm causing problems with the family and we need to go to group therapy again. I feel like a therapist would definitely side with me in this, or at least understand that it's not my obligation to financially support my parents no matter what. But I would like to try to resolve this situation without it turning into a huge deal. My boundary is pretty firm though. I honestly do not want to support my parents if my brother doesn't, and I feel like it won't be great for my mental health if I just have to swallow that down. Any advice? Now for the advice. This is a golden opportunity for them to be more independent and learn to not rely on other people. Oh my gosh, why am I not smart enough to come up with stuff like this in the moment, lol. Don't worry, you can also tell them that they can't afford to retire and that they need to work. Everyone has to do it. Good luck flapping your own wings. Don't ever tell your parents how much you make ever again. Make sure all your documents, paperwork, birth certificates are all in order. This could get ornery fast. You don't have to participate in therapy if you don't want to. You're old enough where you can leave the group chat. Go live life to the fullest on your terms. What unbelievable nerve they have. Don't give them a cent. Seriously, not one penny. You owe them nothing. Your parents unfortunately don't seem like very intelligent people if they made such a serious miscalculation in their retirement planning and finances. Perhaps they are telling you this story because they are still unable to say no to your brother, and they continue to deplete their savings to support him. Your brother, the golden boy, owes them a great deal, so perhaps they should go live with him. Do not disrupt your own retirement planning to bankroll theirs. Any money they guilt trip you into handing over will only be given to your brother if he says he needs it. You know they've probably left all their assets to your brother, don't you? Do not give them anything. When they start needing home help, let them deplete their wealth and go into a state-supported nursing home. Thank you for your advice. To be honest, I was also thinking it seemed like they had made a really serious miscalculation, in a way that made me wonder if it was like early signs of dementia, especially for my mom who works in finance. They have not been living like people who weren't sure about how they were going to fund their retirement. But then you said they probably left all their assets to my brother, which has been a big joke among me and my sister for years. And now I wonder if they just want more money to live on so that they don't have to dip into what they were planning to leave my brother. And his kids, who are their only grandchildren too, to be fair. But it could also just be the fact that the stock market is far different than it was 4 or 5 years ago, with the pandemic. I'm honestly not sure. I agree with you. Let the golden child support them. Keep your money, you've earned it. And make sure you save some of it for retirement. And don't give all your money away to your golden child if you don't have enough money to pay for your own retirement.